What does a dream of swimming in a lake mean? Usually, when people imagine themselves at a lake, it makes for a pleasant experience. Can you see yourself lounging on the lake shore, enjoying the cool breeze of the water? Up ahead, the water is calm and still. Something is relaxing about the whole scene. This is why a dream of swimming in a lake is all too easy to forget. While I'm sure that swimming in the lake in your dream you would make for fun times, your memory of that nighttime vision is going to be easily superseded or replaced by images from a more troubling or interesting dream. Maybe you had a dream of somebody trying to shoot you, or your loved ones, or you had a nighttime vision of iguanas or some other unpleasant creatures like rats or bedbugs. Given the fact that our minds tend to remember memories that trigger strong negative emotions, the pleasant images of your lake dreams are sure to give way. This is too bad because if you dream of swimming or fishing in a lake, it can tell you several important truths about your waking life. What makes it challenging is that this dream, for the reasons above, is too easy to forget. How do you know you're dreaming of a lake? When lake symbology makes its way into your dreams in all different variations, it can be easy to overlook, not only for the reasons above, but for a wide range of other reasons. When you see the lake, it seems that it's only a part of your dream setting. Your mental camera, if you will, is focused on other things that may be happening. It's as if the lake is only an empty detail, just like swimming in a lake before you do something else. The same goes for fishing in the lake. These are just incidental details that take place before the real action starts. The lake just sets up the scene, but when you view it this way, the lake itself does not have much meaning. This is too bad because if the lake appears again and again, pay attention. It's not the activities you were doing before and after you interacted with the lake, but it's the lake itself that is the centerpiece of your dream. In many cases, people have this kind of dream, had several nighttime visions of the lake within the same 8 to 10 hour period. Your subconscious in this situation is telling you that you shouldn't pay attention to the image of you swimming or fishing in the lake, as important as those may be. The real dream meaning is locked into the lake itself. This is how you know that your dream of swimming in a lake should be top of mind. There's something about that lake that you need to pay attention to because your subconscious is trying to get you to focus on what that dream image means. The general interpretation of a lake in a dream. It's important to understand that you have to make the lake the centerpiece of your dream. For this to happen, you have to ask yourself many questions. How often did you see this element? Does the lake just form the background and there's an actual central theme that played out in the actions or emotional states that you've witnessed in your mental camera? Or are you surrounded by the lake? Maybe you jumped into it or swam into it or fell in while fishing. Is there something about the appearance of this body of water that gives you the impression that the lake is the centerpiece of your dream? You have to decide this early on because everything flows from the lake symbol. If it's only a side detail, then shifting your analysis to this body of water will make you miss the real meaning of your dream. Remember, the key here is repetition. If you see one image of a lake after another with only slight variations, pay close attention. Your mind is unmistakably telling you that the lake is the dream. It could be a dirty lake in one dream, or it can involve clear water in another. But eventually, you should realize that the dream is about the lake and what the lake represents. This is how you can connect the images that you saw in your nighttime vision and your real waking life. This is the essence of dream interpretation. You shouldn't just look for the meaning of the specific elements of your dream as if they are divorced or separated from each other. You want something practical out of the exercise, and this involves connecting the context of the dream imagery and the meaning behind them with key themes from your daily waking life. What is about this dream image? What is it? You have to ask yourself, what is it about this dream image that could impact your life? What follows are the general interpretation of lake dream imagery. Then we're going to drill down into more specific applications based on the contextual clues that you saw in your dream. The lake imagery refers to your emotional state. Unlike the open ocean or a sea, a lake involves a closed body of water. Rivers contribute to the water in a lake, and then the lake empties into another larger body of water. Usually, a lake drains out into a bay, and then from the bay, the water goes into the sea or a larger body of water. There's also a qualitative difference in the water involved because generally speaking, unless we're talking about the Dead Sea, lakes almost always contain fresh water. This is not a small detail you can easily overlook. This indicates emotional states. When you're out in the ocean, all sorts of things can happen because an ocean is very deep and its waters are very salty. But things are more controlled in a lake. So in terms of psychological realities that impact your day-to-day life, when you see yourself swimming or fishing in the lake, you're dealing with conscious emotions. These are not repressed emotions or unresolved issues. Your mind tells you something about emotions that you think you have and the emotions that you think you can control. This is the general meaning of a lake. It represents controlled, perceived, and even planned emotions. Lake dream imagery turns on control. Since we're talking about emotions that you are aware of, the next step is to look at how well you control your emotions. And this is where water quality comes in. When you think back to your dream of being in or around a lake, try to remember the quality of the water. Are you dealing with clean water? Can you see several feet from the surface? Is it a dirty lake? Is the water murky? Is there trash or any kind of rubbish on the shore? Is there debris floating on the surface of the water? These are important clues as to the state of emotions you are aware of. A dirty lake represents insecurity or even embarrassment about how you feel you manage your emotions when it comes to the people around you or in some sort of public setting. A dirty lake makes you feel that you're not managing your emotions as well as you would like. Maybe you're wearing your feelings on your sleeves, or you feel that you're easy to trigger. A lake with clear waters. What does clear lake water mean? If you've ever been to Lake Tahoe near Reno, Nevada, you would be treated to an amazing lake view. The water is crystal clear. Near the shore, you can see all the way to the bottom. At some distance from the shore, the water is bright and crystal clear. It really is something else. You feel transported just thinking about that image. And when you see the clear water in your dreams of lakes, you are connecting with your subconscious perception of how your controlled emotional states are and how you'd like them to be. If this water clarity shows up repeatedly in your dreams, your subconscious or the unexplained part of your consciousness may be telling you something about the quality of your emotions. Lake images can also have opposite meanings. Maybe you're in more emotional control than you give yourself credit for. Or it can be the other way. You may be getting this feeling deep down inside that you have dirty emotional states when you feel conflicted. You think that there are all sorts of things happening within you that you cannot control, things that people cannot see past the surface. So your mind is trying to send you a signal in the form of dreams using contrasting imagery. It's funny how the human mind works, because if it can send you images that have a one-to-one interpretation meaning it shows dirty water, boiling water, or some indication of turbulence, and you don't have to work too hard to analyze what it means. After all, the meaning has a one-to-one correlation. The meaning just jumps out at you. But it can also work in the opposite direction. You may be going through turbulence and there's a lot of drama and issues underneath. But you are so caught up in your life, or you're devoting a lot of your time to your friends' hardships and drama, or you're using tremendous emotional energy for your relationships that you lose sight of the turmoil that you're going through. So your mind shows you a deep desire for calm. Your subconscious is showing you your longing for emotional clarity and certainty. Maybe by immersing yourself in this positive image of a calm lake with the crystal clear waters, you are reminded of what it's like to take full responsibility and control over your emotions. This can lead to somewhere peaceful and productive. At the very least, it leads to something that is not negative. You have to be completely honest as to what's going on in your emotional life. And again, the lake image goes to the heart of that because it represents emotions that you're aware of. But it can also shine a light on your general lack of awareness of other things involving or affecting your emotional life. Pay attention to your activity on or near the lake. It's important to not just focus on the lake, the quality of its water, its depth, and its surface. But you also have to look at what you are doing. Are you diving into the water? Are you standing on the shore? Are you floating on the water? Is there a pool of water near the lake? Maybe it's a raised swimming pool or a jacuzzi. What exactly are you doing in the water? What feelings are you experiencing when you are in the water? You should pick up on certain details because they act as a symbol for something that can be quite obvious. For example, if you're drowning and you can't stay afloat, this means that you should be jumping out. This means that you should pay attention to a lot of things going on in your life. The interpretation of you or somebody you know or care about drowning is obviously going to be much different than that of seeing yourself or another person fishing. So pay close attention to your activity near the water. And it doesn't take much work. Suppose there's some sort of trauma or energy flow because of an activity like thrashing about in the water or trying to stay afloat. because you think you're drowning. This is pretty straightforward. In this case, there's going to be a different energy level than if you're just walking around the lake or casting a line into it as you go fishing. Pay attention to the placement of your body on the water. Usually when people think of fishing, they imagine somebody at the shore casting a line that lands relatively flat and far from the shore. But if you've ever gone fishing, you know that this is not the only way to fish. You can take out a little boat and go to the middle of the lake. That's one of the best ways to catch fish because many fishes avoid the shore because it's too shallow. Also, pay close attention to your proximity to the water. Are you just watching the water? Are you there with another person? Is it a calm, relaxing view? What's your emotional state as you engage in this activity? Is your skin in contact with the water? If so, what feelings are going through you? Do you feel cleansed? Is it a bathing or cleansing type of experience? Or do you feel dirty because the water is not crystal clear? Does the water smell? Maybe you are drinking the water since lake water is usually fresh water. But what many people don't understand is that seawater is usually cleaner than fresh water because its salt contains microbes that kill life. It also contains salt that kills microbes. Either way, salt water, by and large, is healthier than fresh water. People don't know this because we've always been told not to drink salt water. Salt water, after all, makes us thirsty. That's the last thing you want to do if you are trapped in a desert island with no fresh water. Depending on the context, salt water is cleaner. So what are you doing with the water? Is it getting into your mouth? Are you drinking it intentionally? These indicate your distinct relationship with the emotions you're aware of. They point to the level at which you claim ownership over those emotions. If you see yourself drowning or not in full control while swimming, there is a distinct apprehension between your emotional state and your full consciousness. Maybe you're defining your emotional state in such a way you're trying to avoid stuff that may be happening to your friends or relatives or thinking about stuff that they've gone through. This can also involve your coping mechanism for problems in life in general. Let me tell you, problems are the only constant in life. Let me repeat that. Problems are the only constant in life. Problems are not to be feared. While it's true that we exercise a tremendous amount of control over our emotions so we can achieve some level of calm, it is also true that our relationships with our problems depend on how we assert this control. Sadly, the path of least resistance, and I'm talking about the most comfortable and convenient path that takes up the least amount of energy, is just to go into denial. You know that many things are going on in your life. You know that many of these are negative. You know that your internal emotional water is dirty. Maybe it's because you have unresolved feelings about certain members of your family, or you feel that you did not get the kind of love, respect, and acceptance you felt you deserve. Maybe you feel that you don't belong with your friends. Whatever the case may be, there are strong emotions that have a way of shaping, warping, grinding down, or chipping away at your sense of identity and self-worth. So what do? Many of us take the easy path. We imagine ourselves in some position with our emotional and psychic reality that helps us avoid responsibility. In other words, we engage in self-delusion. So you say to yourself, I'm a confident person, I'm a happy person, I'm very optimistic, and I have achieved inner peace. You walk around every day convinced that there's this reservoir of happiness within you, much like the deep parts of a lake. But it turns out that it takes a lot of energy to keep that up, and that energy takes the form of choosing to look the other way when it comes to other realities in your life. Before you know it, you can't do it anymore. You can't avoid these realities like an 800-pound elephant in the middle of the room. You're paying a high price for that kind of artificial peace. In reality, you should confront it because there's nothing to be afraid of. You're not trying to live up to somebody else's impression of you. You're not trying to create some artificial reality for other people. This is not a show. This is not a game. It's your life. You have nothing to prove. This is why it's really important to be as honest as possible with yourself and achieve a deep, abiding peace with who you truly are. This is how you achieve control and break through all the mess, all the uncertainty and internal chaos. When you do this, you achieve some healthy relationship with the reality that things don't have to appear a certain way. Let them go. Instead, your main priority is to focus on whether you are truly happy, fulfilled, content, and complete. If you're not, do something about it. This is where real control comes from. The connection between the lake and other bodies of water. How is the lake connected to other bodies of water in your dream? Depending on your dream, sometimes you can see a river connected to the lake. In other types of dreams, you are in a boat and you can see further down the horizon where the lake empties eventually into the sea or the ocean. If you're lucky enough to have this type of broad vision dream, you can see the lake's connection to other bodies of water. Whether it's a series of streams, a river, or a sea, you must be able to connect the dots. This is a very empowering type of lake dream which can lead to a peaceful sense of self-realization. The truth is we cannot control our world. You already know that, but we can control our response to whatever the world throws our way. That is what ultimately the lake means. It is the embodiment of your coping mechanisms and conscious emotional control strategies. As long as you know what you're doing, you're in a position to make the kind of unnecessary adjustments that you need to always feel in control wherever you are. Feelings of being in control do not mean being in control. Keep in mind that feeling in control is different from actually making things happen or causing things to happen. These are very different things. But many manage their inner world in such a way that any turbulence from the river of life or any challenge from the greater sea of the ocean of existence is enough to throw them off. They fold. They end up in this very emotionally turbulent cycle of doubt, hopelessness, helplessness, and all sorts of negative emotions. Pretty soon they walk away with a degraded view of themselves, their capacities, their personal power, their ideas of where they can and cannot go, who they can and cannot be. It's a mess. But the sad truth is that's because they think they can't cause these things to happen as the way they want, then that everything is lost. That's not true. This is looking at the situation from a completely unproductive viewpoint. I'm not going to say that it's flat out wrong, but it is unproductive. It is not conducive and doesn't help. Again, ultimately, it's not true. Maybe the better approach is to reclaim your power over your ability to respond to the universe. That's how you make your hidden emotional shadow your partner instead of something that you constantly run away from. Past and future problems are always going to be there. If you let them remain hidden because you're afraid to confront or see them for what they truly are and put them in a correct spot in your mental map, you will continue to struggle. It's like drowning in the river or thrashing your feet in the sea. The more you move around, the more you sink. This is a hard feeling to get rid of. Many people think that exercising a lot in the water removes the sense of helplessness. But that's not true. In some cases, you just make worse things happen. What is the sign that you need? When it comes to emotional dreams, many people who are quite skilled in figuring out what their dream indicates or symbolizes in their daily waking life look for distinct signs. These are the signs you need to make sense of your dream. Come up with an accurate interpretation as well as walk away with a clear marching plan to handle your future better. It's all about the science. But any water dream is very deceptive and tricky because we are dealing with emotions. The Hebrew Bible even says that the human heart is treacherous. Things are never what they seem when it comes to emotions. So you have to look for a sign that you need. It can be a connection to a larger body of water, and if so, how does the water flow? Are there signs of turbulence? Do you see any indication that the water changes radically as it goes from the river to the ocean? If you're swimming or fishing, can you sense the flow of the water? This is how you come up with a big picture view of the lake. A quick word on floating and boat symbols. If you're on a boat on a lake and you're fishing or jumping off the boat to swim, try to remember the size of the boat because it indicates the amount of control you have over the emotions you're aware of. It also indicates your maturity because a big boat means that you've been around the block. You know how your emotions can translate to financial, career, educational, and relationship realities. It's not your first rodeo. You know how things work out. A large boat can indicate some level of mastery over your emotions. It suggests that you know how to manipulate your emotional state so that you aren't just floating from problem to problem or solution to solution. Instead, you boldly take your emotional state to get you motivated to get through challenges, to reach summits, and to climb higher heights. Clothing as symbols. On the other hand, if you're walking, pay close attention to what you're wearing. Are you walking barefoot? Are you walking in thick shoes? Is there any indication that you want your body to come into contact with the water. This can indicate some sort of denial, avoidance, or any other less than productive coping mechanism or strategy. Again, I'm not saying it's absolutely wrong, because the only person that can deliver the verdict on whether your coping mechanism is negative or not is you. But this is something you can pay attention to, because if you're using it some sort of shield, so you don't have to access the water directly, this can indicate that there are certain things you don't want to deal with, and you're kind of bending backward or engaging in a less than direct contact. This can mean that less than satisfactory results, because challenges have to be dealt with head on, no matter how uncomfortable they are. You must look fear straight into its eyes and confront it. Otherwise, they have a way of growing on you, and before you know it, you feel like you're drowning and something's pulling down on you, or you're being sucked down from the surface of a seemingly clear lake.